Are you the most persuasive person that you know? If not, why aren't you? Think of the most persuasive person you know. Why are they persuasive? Most people have no idea what's involved in being able to lead someone from one train of thought to another or being persuasive. And today I'm going to go over one tip, technique, and trick that Blaise Pascal, the French philosopher, came up with that's going to help you immediately be more persuasive by sneaking in the back door.
Now, if you're in a big hurry, I just want to let you know at the end of this video, I'm going to give away a free vocal tonality spreadsheet that you can use before a first date or big interview or big event that you have to be sure that your voice is all dialed in. It's a big component of persuasion, so you can grab that here if you're in a hurry or hear more about it towards the end of the video.
So what Pascal says is you want to take a counterintuitive move. So what would you try to do if you're trying to convince someone of something that's different than what they believe? You believe something else, what are you going to do? Well, 99% of people are going to present the logical facts about why they're right and why the other person is wrong. The problem is those facts are completely blurred and distorted through the other person's ego. See, nobody wants to be wrong. I'm always shocked when I see so many different arguments just taking place, whether it be at work or socially, and the people aren't even arguing sides. They don't care what's true and what isn't. They just want to be right. They'd rather state a false fact that the other person would believe them that they're right and win the argument than actually get to the truth. And that's because the egos are battling and we don't want to feel foolish by admitting, oh, maybe I wasn't right. You were right, I was wrong. It's hard on the ego to do that. And most people don't have the confidence to actually be able to step in that and be like, you know what? I've been wrong about that for 5 years. That's awesome. Thanks for bringing that to the surface. That's the way truly confident people react. But 99% of people don't have that rock solid level of confidence. So how are we persuasive to them? We come in the back door by starting with agreeing with them. I know it sounds super weird. They believe something that's wrong, something that's different than what you believe in. You're going to voice that you actually agree with what they're thinking. So let's say, for instance, you're talking about something somewhat subjective. So let's say you're talking about which city is better to live in, and you're arguing Dallas, Texas, and they're arguing Chicago. So as opposed to saying, Chicago is so cold in the winter, it's so much nicer in Dallas all year round, you're going to say, you know, I actually have been out in Chicago, and that Hubbard Street, man, that's a lot of fun. So you're going to start out by empathizing with them, putting yourself in their camp, because now you're looking at something together. You're a team looking at it as opposed to you versus them. So you can say, you know, I do have a lot of fun when I go to Chicago, but I look at it from a different perspective. Have you ever considered this? And by doing this, what you're doing is you are convincing them that they weren't wrong, but merely they weren't looking at the whole picture. Maybe they didn't have as much information or as much data as you did, so therefore their ego is saying, I wasn't wrong, I just didn't have access to all the information that this person did. Much easier to swallow. So you want to convince people that first you're on their side, you understand how they could think about it that way, and then show them new information, additional information, and even walk them through verbally. Say, you know, but the one thing, I actually was thinking about the way you were, and then I found out that this, or then I was reading, I actually saw an article, and it spelled this out, and then I was like, whoa, of course. Then they'll buy into it with you. Now let's look at another little example. Let's look at something that's much more difficult than whether a city is better than the other, which is very subjective. Let's look at if you say 2 plus 2 is 4, and they say 2 plus 2 is 3. How do you apply this? We apply it the exact same way. So what you might say is, you know, and it's like, it's not even about stating facts are right. It's about being empathetic. So you could even start out by saying, you know, I see how you see those 2 there, and you see those 3, and the way they're kind of together, it can be kind of thing. But the thing is, the thing that I saw was that when you actually set them apart, and you can see 2 up here, the distance, a foot between, and 2 here, you can actually count 1, 2, 3, 4. The important thing is you're not asking them to admit that they were wrong. You're helping them find a reason why they didn't see it in the same big picture as you. So, you know, I see how those are kind of clumped over there. It could kind of seem like it would be a 1, 2, and then 3 right there. But let me tell you, the way that I was taught to look at it just recently, it's really cool. You separate them apart, and then you can clearly see 1, 2, 3, 4. So that might be something you want to look at. You're not forcing them to swallow the huge hit to their ego by being like, oh, of course, there's 4 there. 2 plus 2 is 4. I see it. I was wrong. How could I be so stupid? Now they're saying in their head, no, I'm fine. I'm smart. There was 3 there. They were bunched up. And I just kind of didn't realize you need to set them apart to see the true number. You're helping them be comfortable in the face of what could be embarrassing. You know, I always talk about in different applications how charismatic people help people be comfortable in situations where they normally would feel stressed, feel out of place, would not have situational confidence, and you give them that boost by acting in certain ways, by couching them and helping them when they're in situations like this and doing that. So that's the backdoor technique. Now, another thing that's very important when you're convincing someone is the way that you come across and the way that you sound. Do you sound believable? Do you sound like someone who's confident that they're right? I love this clip of the show Westworld. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Here, I'll cut to it right now.
What if I told you I'm here to set you free?
But simply by using the correct tone of voice and strength of voice, you sound so much more believable, like so much more of a leader. And I've actually got a free tonality checklist that you can grab by clicking right here. It should pop out here above my head. And you can go through that before you have a date or a big interview or anything that's important. And it's going to allow you to remember things that are important, to come across with a really strong, convincing, powerful voice, because little changes in the strength of your voice and the tonality have huge repercussions on how people view you if you're a guy as a leader, as being honest, as being authoritative, as being convincing. And if you're a guy and you're talking about girls, as far as your attractiveness, by using good tonality, it can hugely impact the way that you're perceived. So if you got a mug that's maybe not a perfect 10 out of 10, going through this checklist before you go on a date or go out and be social is a great way to boost that voice up, so that they'll see that mug as a little more attractive than it is. So you can download that free checklist up here and go through it when you need to.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that a guy who's 45 years old and divorced and trying to get back on the dating scene needs the same advice as an 18-year-old dude running around Panama City for spring break drinking a stolen bottle of Parrot Bay rum? Of course not. So if you're trying to improve your dating life and your success with women, be sure you're getting advice that's tailored specifically to your age range. If it's something you're trying to do, you can click here, click how old you are, and you'll be taken to some techniques and strategies that are specific for your age. Now, if you're hearing all these different ideas in the video, the tonality and this kind of stuff, and it's over your head, and you're just really trying to get a good understanding and a good level of social competence in general, maybe you're out and you see people talking and having a good time and you don't really always understand why certain things happen and why people behave in certain ways under certain circumstances, I've got a program called the Social Invincibility Program that does a really good job of getting you not only up to speed on the basics, but so you'll understand what's going on around you in a way that most other people won't, so you can use that to your advantage to interpret situations and make the right moves at the right times. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.